Letter 158 by Charles Lamb. 5th Dec, 1806. Tuthill is at Crabtree's, who has married Tuthill's sister. Manning, your letter dated Hottentots, August the what was it, came to hand. I can scarce hope that mine will have the same luck. China Canton, bless us, how it strains the imagination and makes it ache. I write under another uncertainty, whether it can go tomorrow by a ship which I have just learned is going off direct to your part of the world, or whether the dispatches may not be sealed up and thus have to wait, for if it is detained here, it will grow staler in a fortnight than in a 5 months' voyage coming to you. It will be a point of conscience to send you none but brand new news, the latest edition, which will but grow the better, like oranges, for a sea voyage. Oh, that you should be so many hemispheres off. If I speak incorrectly you can correct me. Why, the simplest death or marriage that takes place here must be important to you as news in the old Bastille. There's your friend Tuthill has got away from France. You remember France, and Tuthill. 10-1, but he writes by this post, if he don't get my note in time, apprising him of the vessel's sailing. Know then that he has found means to obtain leave from Bonaparte, without making use of any incredible romantic pretenses as some have done, who never meant to fulfill them, to come home. And I have seen him here and at Holcroft's. I have likewise seen his wife, this elegant little Frenchwoman whose hair reaches to her heels, by the same token that Tommy H. took the comb out of her head, not expecting the issue, and it fell down to the ground to his utter consternation, 2 L's long. Ain't you glad about Tuthill? Now then be sorry for Holcroft, whose new play, called The Vindictive Man, was damned about a fortnight since. It died in part of its own weakness, and in part for being choked up with bad actors. The 2 principal parts were destined to Mrs. Jordan and Mr. Bannister, but Mrs. J. has not come to terms with the managers. They have had some squabble, and Bannister shot some of his fingers off by the going off of a gun. So Miss Duncan had her part, and Mr. de Camp, a vulgar brother of Miss de Camp, took his. He is a fellow with the make of a jockey, and the air of a lamplighter. His part, the principal comic hope of the play, was most unluckily Goldfinch, taken out of The Road to Ruin. Not only the same character, but the identical Goldfinch, the same as Falstaff is in 2 plays of Shakespeare. As the devil of ill luck would have it, half the audience did not know that H. had written it, but were displeased at his stealing from The Road to Ruin. And those who might have borne a gentlemanly coxcomb with his, that's your sort, go it, such as Lewis is, did not relish the intolerable vulgarity and inanity of the idea stripped of his manner. De Camp was hooted, more than hissed, hooted and bellowed off the stage before the second act was finished, so that the remainder of his part was forced to be, with some violence to the play, omitted. In addition to this, a whore was another principal character, a most unfortunate choice in this moral day. The audience were as scandalized as if you were to introduce such a personage to their private tea tables. Besides, her action in the play was gross, wheedling an old man into marriage. But the mortal blunder of the play was that which, oddly enough, H. took pride in and exultingly told me of the night before it came out, that there were no less than 11 principal characters in it, and I believe he meant of the men only, for the playbill expressed as much, not reckoning 1 woman and 1 whore. And true it was, for Mr. Powell, Mr. Raymond, Mr. Bartlett, Mr. H. Siddons, Mr. Barrymore and C, to the number of 11, had all parts equally prominent, and there was as much of them in quantity and rank as of the hero and heroine, and most of them gentlemen who seldom appear but as the hero's friend in a farce, for a minute or two, and here they all had their 10-minute speeches, and one of them gave the audience a serious account how he was now a lawyer but had been a poet, and then a long enumeration of the inconveniences of authorship, rascally booksellers, reviewers, and which first set the audience a-gaping. But I have said enough. You will be so sorry that you will not think the best of me for my detail, but news is news at Canton. Poor H, I fear, will feel the disappointment very seriously in a pecuniary light. From what I can learn, he has saved nothing. You and I were hoping one day that he had. But I fear he has nothing but his pictures and books, and a no very flourishing business, and to be obliged to part with his long-necked Guido that hangs opposite as you enter, and the game-piece that hangs in the back drawing-room, and all those Vandykes, and God should temper the wind to the shorn connoisseur. I hope I need not say to you that I feel for the weather-beaten author and for all his household. I assure you his fate has soured a good deal the pleasure I should have otherwise taken in my own little farce being accepted, and I hope about to be acted. It is in rehearsal actually, and I expect it to come out next week. It is kept a sort of secret, and the rehearsals have gone on privately, lest by many folks knowing it, the story should come out which would infallibly damn it. You remember I had sent it before you went. Rotten read it and was much pleased with it. I speedily got an answer. I took it to make alterations, and lazily kept it some months, then took courage and furbished it up in a day or two and took it. In less than a fortnight, I heard the principal part was given to Elliston, who liked it, and only wanted a prologue, which I have since done and sent. And I had a note the day before yesterday from the manager, Rotten, bless his fat face. He is not a bad actor in some things, to say that I should be summoned to the rehearsal after the next, which next was to be yesterday. I had no idea it was so forward. I have had no trouble, attended no reading or rehearsal, made no interest. What a contrast to the usual parade of authors. But it is peculiar to modesty to do all things without noise or pomp. I have some suspicion it will appear in public on Wednesday next, for W says in his note, it is so forward that if wanted it may come out next week, and a new melodrama is announced for every day till then. And a new farce is in rehearsal. Is put up in the bills. Now you'd like to know the subject. The title is Mr. H, no more, how simple, how taking. A great H sprawling over the playbill and attracting eyes at every corner. The story is a coxcomb appearing at Bath, vastly rich, all the ladies dying for him, all bursting to know who he is, but he goes by no other name than Mr. H. A curiosity like that of the dames of Strasbourg about the man with the great nose. But I won't tell you any more about it. Yes, I will. But I can't give you an idea how I have done it. I'll just tell you that after much vehement admiration when his true name comes out, Hogsflesh, all the women shun him, avoid him, and not one can be found to change their name for him. That's the idea, how flat it is here. But how whimsical in the farce, and only think how hard upon me it is that the ship is dispatched tomorrow, and my triumph cannot be ascertained till the Wednesday after. But all China will ring of it by and by. N.B. But this is a secret. The professor has got a tragedy coming out with the young Rossius in it in January next. As we say, January last it will be with you. And though it is a profound secret now, as all his affairs are, it cannot be much of one by the time you read this. However, don't let it go any further. I understand there are dramatic exhibitions in China. One would not like to be forestalled. Do you find in all this stuff I have written anything like those feelings which one should send my old adventuring friend, that is gone to wander among Tartars and may never come again? I don't. But your going away, and all about you, is a threadbare topic. I have worn it out with thinking. It has come to me when I have been dull with anything, till my sadness has seemed more to have come from it than to have introduced it. I want you, you don't know how much, but if I had you here in my European garret, we should but talk over such stuff as I have written. So, those tales from Shakespeare are near coming out, and Mary has begun a new work. Mr. Daw is turned author. He has been in such a way lately, Daw the painter, I mean. He sits and stands about at Holcroft's and says nothing, then sighs and leans his head on his hand. I took him to be in love, but it seems he was only meditating a work, The Life of Morland. The young man is not used to composition. Rickman and Captain Burney are well. They assemble at my house pretty regularly of a Wednesday, a new institution. Like other great men, I have a public day, cribbage and pipes, with Phillips and noisy Martin. Good heaven, what a bit only I've got left. How shall I squeeze all I know into this morsel? Coleridge is come home, and is going to turn lecturer on taste at the Royal Institution. I shall get £200 from the theatre if Mr. H has a good run, and I hope £100 for the copyright. Nothing if it fails, and there never was a more ticklish thing. The whole depends on the manner in which the name is brought out, which I value myself on as a chef d'oeuvre. How the paper grows less and less. In less than 2 minutes I shall cease to talk to you, and you may rave to the Great Wall of China. N.B. Is there such a wall? Is it as big as old London Wall by Bedlam? Have you met with a friend of mine, named Ball, at Canton? If you are acquainted, remember me kindly to him. Amongst many queer cattle I have and do meet with at the India Ho, I always liked his behavior. Tell him his friend Evans and C are well. Woodruff not dead yet. Maybe you'll think I have not said enough of Tuthill and the Holcrofts. Tuthill is a noble fellow as far as I can judge. The Holcrofts bear their disappointment pretty well, but indeed they are sadly mortified. Mrs. H is cast down. It was well if it were but on this account that Tuthill is come home. N.B. If my little thing don't succeed, I shall easily survive, having, as it were, compared to H.'s venture but a 16th in the lottery. Mary and I are to sit next the orchestra in the pit, next the Tweedledees. She remembers you. You are more to us than 500 farces, clappings, and C. Come back one day, C. Lamb. The letter is addressed to T. Manning, Esquire, Canton. At the end Lamb adds, Holcroft has just writ to me as follows. Dear Sir, Miss L. has informed us you are writing to Manning. Will you be kind enough to inform him directly from me that I and my family are most truly anxious for his safety, that if praying could bring down blessings on him, we should pray morning, noon, and night, that his and our good friends the Tuthills are once more happily safe in England, and that I earnestly entreat not only a single letter but a correspondence with him whenever the thing is practicable, with such an address as may make letters from me likely to find him. In short, dear sir, if you will be kind enough to speak of me to Manning, you cannot speak with greater friendship and respect than I feel. Yours with true friendship and kindness. In the beginning of this letter, we see the first germ of an idea afterwards developed in the letter to Baron Field of August 31, 1817, and again, more fully, in the Elia essay, Distant Correspondence. Tuthill, afterwards Sir George Lemon Tuthill, 1770–1835, was the physician who, on a visit to Paris, was included among the English detainees and held a captive for several years. He was released only after his wife had made a personal appeal to Napoleon on his return from hunting. The words incredible romantic pretenses refer chaffingly to Manning's application to Napoleon for liberty to return to England 2 or 3 years previously. Holcroft's Vindictive Man was produced at Drury Lane on November 20, 1806. It was a complete failure. His Road to Ruin, produced in 1792 at Covent Garden, with Gentleman Lewis as Goldfinch, had been a great success and is still occasionally played. Holcroft was also a very voluminous author and translator, and the partner of his brother-in-law, Mercier, in a printing business, which, however, was unprofitable. Tommy was Holcroft's son. The Dames of Strasbourg, in Tristram Shandy, Vol. Roman 4. The Professor has a tragedy. This was Falconer, for which Lamb wrote the prologue. Owing to the capriciousness of Master Betty, the young Roscius, it was not produced until December 16, 1807, and then with Elliston in the principal part. It was only partially successful, a result for which Godwin blamed Holcroft, who had revised the play. Mary Lamb's new work was Mrs. Lester's School. Mr. Daw is turned author. The Life of George Morland, by George Daw, was published in 1807. Coleridge's intended series of lectures on taste was abandoned. He did not actually deliver any until January 12, 1808.